Eli Drinkwitz and the Missouri Tigers have been on a steady course over the past couple of seasons, and there are a fair few people starting to wonder if Eli Drinkwitz is capable of taking that next step. Well, this is the perfect year for Missouri to be able to take that next step in 2023, as expectations should start to rise amongst this Missouri program. However, will Eli Drinkwitz be able to take that next step starting this year in 2023, or is he going to stay right in line with the program, or maybe even fall off and miss a bowl game this upcoming season? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 133 college football teams, which means I'm doing your favorite team, so why don't you go ahead, hit the subscribe button, and ring the bell so you know when your favorite team gets uploaded. And fans of college football out there, help me support my channel. You're doing one way of supporting my channel right now by watching this video, but you can also like the video, comment, share, again, subscribe, do anything you need to do to help support the channel if you feel obligated to. It means the world to me, so whatever you're able to offer, my apologies, I am here for it. Let's talk about Missouri in 2023. How do preview and predictions work this year? We're going through looking at the roster, looking at who the team lost, who returns, and who comes in through the transfer portal and recruiting. And then we're going to take a look at the Missouri schedule for 2023, preview it, break it down, and predict it game by game. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the Missouri Tigers in 2023. Let's take a look at the quarterback position first. It is the most important position on the field after all. Tyler Macon is gone. He didn't play last year at all, so you do return your starter in Brady Cook. That's the important name here. An underrated quarterback in the SEC, in my opinion. Although his numbers are not jaw-dropping, he definitely is a pretty good player in his own right. 2,739 yards, 64% completion percentage. In fact, almost 65% completion percentage. 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and was second on the team in rushing with 585 yards, 6 rushing touchdowns. He'll be the starter coming into 2022, but in case Brady Cook gets hurt or something happens to where he is not living up to expectations, you get a transfer coming in Jake Garcia. He is coming over from Miami, very talented player in his own right, and probably should be that backup for Missouri coming into 2023. In the running back room, well, you lose a depth piece in Elijah Young, only 19 carries, 93 yards last year. Not a huge part to what Missouri did on the ground. Two huge pieces, though, do return. Cody Schrader and Nathaniel Pete were your first and third leading rushers last year. Schrader, of which 745 yards, 9 touchdowns led the team. Carries, yards, touchdowns, did it in everything. He comes back, and Missouri's running back room should be fairly set. Now, the wide receiver room, a little bit of some question marks coming here. So Dominic Lovett, a top-end talent, is gone. 846 yards, 3 touchdowns, was their best receiver by a long shot. He is gone and moving on to a bigger program in Georgia. Barrett Bannister is also gone. He was their second leading receiver. And Toski Dove, their third leading receiver last year, is also gone. However, you do return a lot of good talent in the wide receiver room as Luther Burden and Mookie Cooper come back. Mekhi Miller and Chance Looper should be in bigger roles this year, as well as bolstering the wide receiver core with Theo Weiss, a former 5-star high school prospect out of Oklahoma. That's his transfer school, 4-star transfer, according to 24/7 Sports. So, with Theo Weiss there to maybe take the place of Dominic Lovett. If not, it'll be either Luther Burden or Mookie Cooper who jump into that top role. You do return your tight end and Tyler Stevens. Not a whole lot of catches for him last year, but could still be a prominent part of the offense in 2023 for Missouri. When you look at the offensive line, Bent Polgar, Xavier Delgado, and Javen Foster are going to return, as well as getting some transfers in, Marcellus Johnson and Cameron Johnson. Cameron Johnson coming over from Houston, Marcellus Johnson coming over from Eastern Michigan. That's a 4-star rated transfer according to 24/7. Now, when you take a look at the defensive side of the ball, there are some big losses here on the defensive line as Isaiah McGuire, first on the team with 7 sacks, and DJ Coleman, who was second on the team with 4.5 sacks, are both gone off this team. You also lose Trahan Jeffcoat, a transfer going over to Arkansas. However, do return some pretty nice pieces. Darius Robinson had 3.5 sacks last year. Christian Williams had 2 sacks last year. And Jaden Jernigan also returns to this team. And you do get a transfer in Joe Moore, former Arizona State Sun Devil, coming over to play defensive line for Missouri. In the linebacker room, you do lose your second leading tackler Or no, my apologies. You returned pretty much everyone in the linebacker room. Sorry, I was reading the wrong line there. I apologize. You return Tyron Harper. Chad Bailey comes back, as well as Damian Wilson. And then you do get a transfer in Tristan Newson as well, coming in to help bolster that linebacking room. So linebackers should be pretty set. They're going to be really experienced for Missouri. Hopper and Bailey were your second and third leading tacklers, respectively. Now here, where is your losses? My apologies, I just read the wrong line. In the defensive back room, you really only lose one guy. Now, it's a pretty key guy. It's Martez Manuel, had 4 sacks last year, 2 passes defended, 51 tackles. That's good for 5th on the team. But other than that, I mean, their defensive backs look pretty set. Chris Abrams, Drain, Ennis Rakestraw, Joseph Carlston, Jalen Carlisle, or Charleston, my apologies, there should be an H there, Joseph Charleston, Jalen Carlisle, and you get a transfer over from Florida, and Trevez Johnson, and what should be a pretty solid secondary in the SEC. The Tigers are coached by Eli Drinkwitz. Your offensive coordinator is Kirby Moore, and your defensive coordinator is Blake Baker. And without further ado, here's the Missouri Tigers' schedule in 2023. If you see a game underlined, that means it's a home game. If you see a game on the road, if you see a game in the italics or the slanted text, then it's a game on the road, and they do have a neutral site game, which is listed accordingly. Green is a game that I think they should be able to win pretty easily. Yellow is a game where, okay, the other team's going to hang around, but Missouri should still be able to win. And red is a predicted loss for me. So without further ado, let's predict Missouri football in 2023. I think they're going to get 2 easy wins here. Starting off with an FCS program in South Dakota. Shouldn't have to explain this one. FCS versus FBS. Missouri should be able to get a nice win there. And then Middle Tennessee. I think Missouri is going to be able to beat them there as well. Okay, now we move on to the big non-conference game, the game against Kansas State. Missouri played this game on the road last year, and they get it at home this year. I think Kansas State is going to be a pretty solid team out of the Big 12 this year. Will Howard comes back at quarterback, I believe is that quarterback's name. They got a lot of nice weapons there, offensively, defensively. I like the coaching staff. A heck of a lot better. Words are hard for me today. I apologize, but taking a look at this Kansas State team, I definitely think they're the more talented team. I think they match up well with Missouri, and I think they're going to beat Missouri as well. I do not think Missouri is going to beat Kansas State, so Missouri takes that loss to Kansas State right there, their first loss of 2023. Moving on to the game against Memphis. It's a neutral site game. They're going to be playing in St. Louis there in Week 4. Could be a pretty interesting game to watch, and I do think Memphis has the ability to be able to keep this one close, but Missouri, I think, is going to be too talented, especially defensively, for what Memphis is going to be able to throw at Missouri. So Memphis loses that game. Missouri wins it. They improve to 3-1. Now, Missouri fans may not like this next prediction here, but your next game is against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is going to win one game in the SEC this year. I think this... And again, we're talking about Vanderbilt here, but this Vanderbilt team might be too good to not win a game in the SEC, which says something about how Vanderbilt and Clark Lee is improving. Vanderbilt's going to be an improved team this year. I would watch out for this one. This is going to be a scary game for Missouri fans, and I think it's a game that you lose. I do think you lose to Vanderbilt here on the road. I think it's going to be a tricky game for Missouri. Vanderbilt's going to win a game. Missouri, no offense to Missouri, they got a lot of great talent, but just based on the other talent in the SEC, might be the second worst team in the SEC. It's a game where I think Vanderbilt's got a great shot to win, and I just got Vanderbilt being able to beat Missouri there. Your next game here in Week 6, just totally getting outclassed here. I do think LSU is going to win this game. Just based off sheer talent. LSU has got too much talent. The Missouri Tigers are not going to be able to keep up with the sheer amount of talent that LSU is going to be able to throw at them. I like what Brian Kelly's got. Missouri's not winning that game. Sorry to all the Missouri Tiger fans out there, but not apologies to LSU Tiger fans. I got you winning the game. On the road against Kentucky is your next one here. And again, this is another really tricky game. I think Kentucky is a team that's going to be a sleeper team in the SEC. I really like what Kentucky's got. Devin Leary at quarterback. If he can stay healthy, he's got a lot of great pass catchers. The defense should be ready to go for Kentucky as well. I think Missouri's going to have a hard time with that one, and Kentucky gives Missouri their third straight loss. However, I do think Missouri is going to be able to bounce back against the South Carolina Gamecocks. To me, the Gamecocks are going to be a very interesting team to watch. We'll see if Spencer Rattler can flip around that touchdown to interception ratio like a lot of people, myself included, think he can. And he's shown us that he can. He has played well in some really, really big games throughout his career. But I do not think that they're going to get past Missouri here in this one. I like the way that Missouri matches up with South Carolina. And this is also a game where, while on paper, South Carolina, in my opinion at least, is definitely the more talented team. This is just a case of where sometimes a team that's not necessarily better than you beats you. And Missouri is definitely, I don't want to say fitting that description, but I think South Carolina is the more talented roster. However, with home field advantage here, I got Missouri being able to beat South Carolina. And then you got two really hard games coming up here for the Missouri Tigers after your bye week. So you do get a week of rest to prepare for this game on the road against Georgia. But much like the conversation with LSU, not talking about this one long, Georgia is just going to outclass Missouri with the sheer amount of talent that team has. They're the favorite to win the national championship again this year for a reason. They're one of the most, if not the most talented roster in America. Missouri's not beating Georgia on the road. They gave them a good fight last year. I don't think it'll be quite the same story this year. I also do not think Missouri's going to beat Tennessee. I do not think this Missouri defense is going to be able to keep up with the sheer amount of offensive firepower that Tennessee is going to throw at throw at this Missouri defense. Joe Milton has one of the biggest arms in all of college football, and he was top 10 in passes over 50 yards or something like that while only playing in 4 games. That says something about the arm strength and talent of Joe Milton. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the sheer raw offensive potential of Tennessee, and they drop that game. Now on to the game here against Florida. If you've watched my Florida video and maybe any of my other SEC videos, I am just not confident in what Florida is going to put out on the football field this year. I think Billy Napier needs more time. Not saying I don't like Billy Napier, but I think he needs more time to try to build this Florida program. Graham Mertz coming in at quarterback. He's got some nice pieces to work with, but it's a weird mix of transfers coming in. You got some players coming back, some young guys there as well, some older guys. It's a weird mix, and I got Missouri being able to win this game and beat Florida right here. I like the way Missouri matches up with Florida, and again, I'm just not confident what Florida has, so Missouri wins, which leads it to the game against Arkansas. It was originally played on was originally going to be played on Saturday, was moved to Black Friday. I think Arkansas is the more talented team here, and Missouri won this game last year. They got the game at home. I don't think they're going to win the game against Arkansas for the second straight year. Arkansas, yes, has got a lot of questions. Who's receiving the ball for KJ Jefferson? What about the linebacking group? But I still do have Missouri losing the game, which means I do have Missouri not making a bowl game. But again, this is a fringe bowl game team for me. Can they go ahead and go beat a team like Kentucky? Yeah, maybe. Can they beat a team like Vanderbilt? Sure. Can they pull off an upset against Kansas State? Absolutely. So there are ways that Missouri can make a bowl game. That's just not how I'm seeing their season play out. Ceiling for me is 8-4. Floor is 3-9. But for me, I got Missouri not making a bowl game. That'll do it for my prediction on Missouri. Please join me for the next prediction. I got one team left in the SEC, and then I'll do my standings recap, move on to the next conference. But anyways, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Remember to play hard but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.